Hello and welcome back to Billy Ho Sports. Big weekend coming up. We've got Keeneland, our cousin track to the east, opening up this weekend. A Friday night triple feature for you today. There are 14, count them, 14 Breeders' Cup Challenge win and you're in races this weekend. It's huge. We got Belmont at the Big A, Aqueduct rocking it. I'll have another video Friday night double feature in New York. This is going to be a triple dog. We got 3 big stakes races. And out west, we've got Santa Anita with some big races as well. So everything's coming up. Roses for horse racing fans alike. So thanks for joining me today. And remember that you, the viewers, support my channel, and I depend on your support. So if you would just click that subscribe button and do it right now. If you're not subscribed and you are a regular watcher, just go ahead and take a couple seconds, click that subscribe button and be done with it. And grab that like button while you're at it too, that thumbs up button, hit that one as well for me. And if you really like the content, share it on social media. You can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Billy Ho Sports. I've been posting a lot more of this recently with picks and thoughts and things about Breeders' Cup coming up. I'm going to have some more Breeders' Cup type previews down the pike here pretty soon. So without further ado, let's get to cracking and get into this racing. So let's get started. Okay, so this is race number 7 on the card. It's a 6 furlong, the Grade 2 Phoenix. This is for 3-year-olds and upward, so it's not a Breeders' Cup Challenge race, but it is a pretty important sprint, so to speak. So we've got the return of Nakatomi. We've got Brad Cox. We've got Comedy Town. We've got a handful of top contenders here. I think Nakatomi looks really good to back up that Grade 1 Vanderbilt win. I was on him for that race, and he ran right by old Skelly, which a lot of horses are doing lately. If you know about these sprinters, Skelly has been a topic of conversation lately, where he was just getting out there and just blowing the doors off of everybody. But now he's looking a lot more vulnerable. Other horses are beginning to catch him down the stretch, but Nakatomi is no ordinary horse. He's a really tough one to beat. So he's probably going to be the top choice here. Brad Cox sending out Federal Judge from post number 1, which is an interesting one, just coming out of some optional claiming ranks, but dominated by 6 lengths at Saratoga here, which was a big 102 speed figure. And that's one amongst the highest last race speed figures. So you can see the class ratings pretty close. And actually, Federal Judge is not amongst those, but he's still a pretty classy horse. Army Mule, they paid $200,000 for him at the auction, so it's not a cheap horse by any means. And the 4-year-old gelding gearing up. So another one that sparks my interest. Hear My Song. I like this horse as a kind of a value play. The Thoroughbred Society, 3rd place behind Happy as a Choice. And that was one of the ones Happy as a Choice ran by. That's Skelly, SKL. So Hear My Song was pretty close right there in the stretch, but just needed a little more oomph, but got a 100 triple digit figure, won by 5 1/4 previously in the Jeff Hill at Ellis back in the summertime. So the horse shows up. It hasn't had a bad race. I said bad race on dirt, which this is synthetic, so that wasn't a good race. But you can see that immediately the next 1, 2, 3, 4 races, 2nd, 4th place in the Aristides, and the 1st and the 3rd. So solid resume coming in. And then the next one up, my buddy B shows up in a lot of these stakes races. Actually ran in the Vanderbilt, but was probably out of his league there. 5-year-old. But these lower level stakes, like the boys and the state rep, won the state rep 75K at Parks. That's my buddy B's jam. So I'm not looking at him here. Here's Nakatomi. We talked about him. Gaffleone back in the saddle. Brilliant ride in the Vanderbilt. He's going to do it again. He's like the leading jockey, basically around these parts anyway, between Louisville and Lexington. Wesley Ward. This horse is primed for a big one. You can see, look, all the hundreds. He's going to run 100. I predict it winning this race. He's going to crack a 102 or a 103. He's going to blow their doors off. So, Comedy Town was an interesting one. He was actually entered, 6-year-old gelding was entered in last weekend's Vosburg, but I don't know. I didn't read anything on like if it just the horse wasn't right or it just didn't feel up to it or they just thought something was off because it won on a muddy track. And you know, of course, we know what the conditions were with all the rain everybody got over last weekend, but scratched out of the Vosburg to come here for Saffie Joseph. Drayden Van Dyke is actually making the trek up here to ride him, which is kind of important. That means Saffie Joseph really depends on Drayden to take care of the animals. So he's not going to go off of that. And Van Dyke might actually be up here for the meet. So I probably shouldn't be speculating on just that alone. Anyway, Banjo Chris, not really. Look at the speed figures. We were looking at triple digits, and this is way too far back, not even a 90. Pervin Swervin, 92s, not really much. Blinkers do go on. So an early running style. I don't know if that's going to be enough splash to get that one up. But Maniwa, not really for me either. So that's really the race in a nutshell. You can see out of 23 races for the track bias, very early speed all day long, 35% wire to wire rate. Nakatomi is an early presser. He'll be hit sitting on somebody's hip pocket. One of these horses that wants to get out and run. Nakatomi will sit there just like he did right here in second and stalk it, and or maybe close. He'll be there, right there, ready to pounce. So I'm going to take Nakatomi on top, and I like Hear My Song in there to be a value play, and I'm going to trust Brad Cox and Flavian Pratt and that inside post to get Federal Judge into contention as well. So those are the picks selections for the Phoenix. Let's head over to race 8, which is the Jessamine, and we are going to rock that right now. And that one is 1.1 miles on the turf, and this is for 2-year-old fillies. And this should get them. This is a Breeders' Cup Challenge race. So let's get it going. She's a funky drummer. Definitely ranks high. Very good. 3 very good efforts to begin her career for Larry Ravelli. 2 wins and a second in the Untappable. Got to have him in the mix. Corrales, quality jockey. Unable to hold on at Kentucky Downs, but I'm not going to hold that against her. Hasn't gone 2 turns yet. That's the only issue that she'll probably have are these, and a lot of them haven't. These youngsters haven't gone 2 turns yet. They start them off slow. They start them off with sprints, things of that nature. So then they have to test them out. She's had 3 races, so she should have enough juice. The average win distance looks close enough to where I think she'll get the distance. So Isle of Capri is another one. Brendan Walsh, Tyler Gaffleone, lots of good things to say. Big win in the debut. I think this one's going to be a value play. You can see 7th in prime power, but I don't read a whole lot into that. I'm going to probably use underneath at least. Don't think Sashay Away will come in. Something bother. No thanks on that one either. But a lot of these horses that have broken their maidens already, you know, you never know what they're going to do as far as taking the next step exponentially, you know, like going from one to the next race, especially if they've coming in off any kind of a layoff. You know, like this was a big 5-length win. I'm probably not going to use 10th ranked in prime power Liam's map. I mean, everything looks good, just James DeVito, you know, and Francisco Arieta, the jockey trainer combo may not be like super splashy or anything, but she won her debut at Kentucky Downs. which I think is important, and one wire to wire, which is nice. So that was August 29th. So it's been over a month. So she might be a little more mature in a month's time. You never know. This is Brad Cox, Flavian Pratt, and another one, Destino de Oro. And you can see the win here. And this one, I think it's not really ranked highly in prime power, but like I said, I trust Brad Cox and I trust Flavian Pratt a lot more as a jockey trainer combo. That is a splashy jockey. You can see hot trainer last 14 days. He's got 7 wins in the last 19 starts. So Brad Cox is gearing up for the fall meet at Keeneland. And Brad Cox local here to Louisville. So he is a Louisville Lexington guy through and through, using Destino de Oro underneath. Probably not the other de Oro. I don't not anything against her. She did win her maiden the next out at Kentucky Downs, going a mile. Everything looks good there. So you never know. Mayday Ready. This is the one. Mayday Ready is the one that I am going to prefer. Probably going to be my top choice. Joseph Lee, Frankie Dettori on the turf, anywhere on planet Earth. Put him on the grass with a horse, and I'm liable to have interest. But the back-to-back wins, he got her up by a nose in the maiden breaker at Saratoga on the inner turf, and then comes over at Kentucky Downs and blows them out. Pretty good speed figures and pretty good pace figures to close it out down the stretch. So Mayday Ready, I think, is due to get this trainer stakes win. Then you have Totally Justified, interesting horse, sired by Justify. Uh, Speed ratings a little bit lower than I'd like, but you never know. Blinkers come off for Italian Soiree. Miss Lonell. These down here don't really spark my interest too much. I just wanted to get down here a little bit to point out that there are 12 horses in the field, and we have several also eligibles. So it'll take a couple scratches, but the one that would interest me if it got in would be Virgin Colada. Chad Brown. And I don't think Pratt's gonna ride. I don't if it got in, I don't see how that's gonna work. But anyway, it's Chad Brown, it's turf. So I would consider definitely nice maiden breaker, second in the next out. Did lose to Totally Justified in that PG Johnson, which I didn't really spend a lot of time on Totally Justified. I wanted to get through these quickly. So that one, 13th in prime power, out of Justify. It could be interesting. That was the first turf effort. So I'm probably going to wait and see. Probably won't go on my selections per se in this show, but I think it will be worth looking into a little more once we get down the road closer. So I'm looking at Mayday Ready and then the Brad Cox Flavian Pratt combo. Like I said, keep an eye out. She's a Funky Drummer is going to be in there. Ala Capri is going to be my long shot for that race. So let's jump over to the Alcibiades. They're race 9. This is the big one. The mile in the 16th for fillies and the 2-year-olds on the dirt. The grade 1 Darley Alcibiades. So Queen's MG wore down in the mud at Saratoga. You saw the if you watched that spin away, it was absolutely, and I believe it was during like a really heavy part of the rain that day. Hard to tell sometimes in the video, but it looks like it's really just coming down in sheets. But it was super muddy. Sherbini closed for third in that race. Several horses in the spin away. Liam in the Dust is one I do have some interest in as well. That's Rod Brissett, Flavian Pratt. Second in the Pocahontas, just couldn't hold off down the stretch. But actually, what happened was in that race, I believe Luis Saez pulled the trigger a little bit too early. He made a really bold move around the far turn and hit the stretch in the lead. But I think he used up a little bit too much horse because you can see him. He is really just shaking the shit out of that horse to try to get her up or to maintain. And she did dig in and hold on for the place. So I don't know how much that took out of her. It's 2 weeks later. So I mean, Liam in the Dust. We'll see what happens. I'll be watching this horse closely to see if it's a big bounce coming or she shows up. But Rich City Girl, actually, I was beginning to consider a horse coming out of the spinaway to win this race because I thought, well, those were definitely the strongest horses. But the more I look at this one, the more I like it. Larry Ravelli, Gerardo Corrales, Rich City Girl, sired by City of Light, half uh half sister to Fierceness. So I think Rich City Girl might be primed for a little wire to wire action on a nice day this Saturday in Keeneland. Could be the beginning of a star in the making for Rich City Girl. The Queen's MG, I expect to bounce back from that spin away. I expect that didn't take well to the muddy conditions. Looked so good before that, just destroyed them in the Adirondack with an 89 number. Maybe, I don't know, coming off of that, I don't know if it was a bounce. It says may improve at longer distance, but I'm not 100 on that. The sire stats aren't there yet for 1,000 words. Average wind distance just 5.7 furlongs right now, but it's still probably a small sample size. No quick kick, but quiet side. These were the two, immersive and quiet side, cleared the field in the spin away. I thought quiet side looked really good. It was just unfortunate that he got run down or she got run down by immersive. That's Brad Cox, Godolphin, Manny Franco. So John Ortiz for quiet side. These two horses, very interesting to say the least. And you have to include them, I think. But I'm going to pick Rich City Girl for the win. And then we're going to go immersive quiet side, maybe Liam in the Dust down low, something of that nature. I like Rich City Girl to get that wire job on him. So that's going to cover the three races on Friday night at Keeneland. I'm really looking forward to this weekend. There's lots more coverage. Obviously, we've got monster stakes races. This is just Friday night double feature, triple features. So next up is going to be Aqueducts Friday night, and then we're going to dive into some Saturday action coming very soon. So thanks for joining me. Don't forget to sub and like, share on social media. And until next time, see you soon.